All right, welcome to Inside the Franchise Growth Engine, presented by Hex Growth, a firm focused on building predictable pipelines, scalable growth systems, and enterprise value for emerging franchise brands. These are real stories from real franchise brands, but we go deeper. Inside the Franchise Growth Engine, leaders unpack the systems, capital decisions, and operational discipline that turn growth into enterprise value. On today's podcast, we have the esteemed Luke Watson, CEO of Timber Pizza Company, the Washington, D.C.-based wood-fired pizza concept that began as a mobile pizza oven in a vintage pickup truck. I know Luke told us about that last on our pre-podcast call, before it evolved into a fast-growing restaurant and franchise brand. What makes this brand interesting is its blend of neighborhood-driven culture and scalable restaurant operations, creating a concept designed for franchise growth while maintaining a strong community identity. Luke's perspective is especially valuable for anyone interested in how restaurants brands transition from local success stories, massive success stories, into structured franchise systems. Thanks for joining us, Luke.
Yeah, Don, Monica, thank you guys so much for having me. It's exciting to be here. And anytime I get to talk pizza, which is pretty often in this job, is a good day for me. So a lot of good days in a row and excited to be here.
Awesome. We're very grateful for you to be on. Thank you.
And we love pizza. So I guess to kick us off, Luke, give us a brief overview of your background and what led you to become the CEO of Timber Pizza.
Yeah, so very fortunate to be where I am today with most stories like mine, a lot of luck, meeting the right people at the right time, trying to position myself to be at the right place to have those opportunities. But really, I grew up in Southern California. Part of my life and childhood, as part of a lot of people's childhoods, was Friday night was pizza night for us. So we'd go to Blockbuster, we'd all get a movie, me and my siblings, and then we'd get pizza. And those are some of the best memories in my life that I have growing up. Very fortunate to have a supportive family, but really, starting from childhood, I've always loved pizza. It's been my favorite food. It's America's favorite food. It's more people pick pizza as a favorite than anyone else. So my pizza journey started early, as many people do. I then went to University of Maryland, so that brought me to the East Coast. Loved my time at Maryland. I was a marketing major there in the business school, so got to starting to understand what business is as much as any unexperienced college kid can. But certainly had some good opportunities, was able to work with a couple different startups during that time, was able to support my dad in one of his businesses. So got to start to understand a little bit about what being an entrepreneur was, what some of the benefits were and kind of the nature of working at a small business, which I was really attracted to. And contrary to that point I just made about liking working with small businesses, after school, I went to Marriott International, which is one of the largest franchise organizations in the world's largest hotel chain. Was very fortunate to land that role. It was right outside DC. Moved in with two of my buddies after school. But during that time at Marriott, I got to understand what a great culture is. So starting with culture, the Marriott culture is friendly in person. It's hospitality business, and they have a hospitality-centered culture. So they showed me at the largest level what it is like to take care of your employees, what it is to build truly hospitable places. And in that role as well, I got to start to understand the benefits of the franchising business model. Part of my role there was going out to some of our franchisees, understanding their pain points, understanding their opportunity areas, and bringing ideas back to senior leadership on how we can solve for those opportunities, for those pain points, et cetera. And so I started to understand, one, the relationship with franchisees, the value of that business model, some things you can really do right in building those systems and relationships, and some things that maybe we could work on. And so was really enjoying that role, was kind of moving up the ranks there. And then the pandemic hit. So like so many people, the pandemic kind of threw my professional career for a loop. Being in hospitality, especially hotels, was not a great spot to be during the pandemic. So like many of my colleagues there, I had 6 months of free time on my hands to figure out what to do, what my next step was. I was eventually brought back to Marriott, but during that time, I really solidified and said, hey, I believe that I can do something on my own. I want to have some more ownership. I want to have more ability to influence my staff or the people that work around me. And so I really made the decision, hey, I want to do something on my own. Originally, I thought, hey, I think it needs to be in hospitality. I love people. Originally, I thought maybe I'll do hotels. After looking online and at some of the price tags to get into hotels, I said, okay, maybe I'll pivot to restaurants, right? Hospitality is hospitality. One just requires a little less funding. And so I ended up going out, starting to think about who could be a partner of mine, help me raise some capital and get into the business. Fortunately, one of my college roommates and my roommate after school as well, his dad I knew was a successful entrepreneur. I knew loved restaurants, and I knew him personally pretty well. And so I pitched him and said, hey, let's start a restaurant, let's buy a restaurant, let's become a franchisee, let's get into business together. I'll be the hard work and the sweat, and you can be the business advice and help me, raise the money. And surprisingly, he said yes. He believed in the vision. He believed in me, which I'm very, very grateful for. And we made the decision that we're going to start looking around and see what we can do. After a few months of that, we were connected with the timber guys. They were looking to bring in some outside capital, looking to bring on some partners. We had a couple lunches with them, and really just hearing one, the brand that they built, Timber Pizza. Timber Pizza is one of those brands that at the time we had 2 locations and 2 food trucks, but it was one of those brands that anyone I talked to in the city who knew about it was like, their faces lit up, right? It's not just, oh yeah, it's pretty good pizza. It was, oh my gosh, I love that pizza. They catered my sister's wedding. Or every time my family comes to town, I bring them to Timber. Or the bartender Alex is such a good guy, still our bartender, actually general manager now. But the bartender Alex, such a good guy. So, I felt a real emotional connection with the brand in a way that you don't often see, or when you do see it, it's special. And then the other thing that was really the deciding factor for me to jump onto the team was the way that they talked about their employees and the reverence that they had for the communities that they were in, right? So, they one, it's the physical community that you're in. We rent a building, we have neighbors, so you want to be really good members of that community, but you also want to build really strong communities within your restaurants amongst your employees. Treating them with respect, offering them some benefits that aren't standard in the restaurant industry. And so, those 2 reasons, we realized it was going to be a great partnership. I quit my job at Marriott 6 months before our deal was signed. So there were 6 months of me working in the restaurant as an hourly employee, with fingers crossed that everything would work out. And the deal did work out. And in December 2021, I officially joined the team as CEO.
Awesome. Yeah. So a couple of things there I think are, nothing like a good old pandemic to pause everyone to sort of think about, like, is this what I really want to do? Because I think a lot of people did that. The other thing that I think is impressive, Luke, which was clear just from, the research that we did on you guys, is just the importance of community. Like there's something to be proud about when you heard, oh yeah, you catered our sister's wedding. Like that's something to be proud of, like you were there for a special moment in someone's life, and you guys were, there providing the food and just being there for them. So I think it's wonderful. When you think back to the old days, let's say the old days as being when Timber Pizza started as a mobile pizza concept, right before you guys went into brick and mortar, what lessons from those early days do you guys still feel are shaping the brand today?
Yeah, I think we started as a yes-restaurant, right? So where we can say yes, we do say yes. And I think in the mobile world, when you're saying, hey, we want you to pull up to this backyard birthday party, and you find out last minute there's a 45-degree angle that you have to figure out how to get up, right? So you encounter a lot of problems. Mobile is literally and metaphorically more moving pieces. So you realize, one, you have to be able to figure it out restaurant, right? You have to be agile. You have to be able to think on your feet. And then, where you can, we want to say yes. And I think that was born in our mobile days. That reflects our current menu, right? We do half and half pizzas, which a lot of pizza places like ours won't do, but why not? Yes. If we can do that, we will. And so, having that yes-restaurant mentality, having that we are going to figure it out and we're going to work through whatever problems in front of us. That was born in the early days, born listening to our customers. And I think that's something that we really try and hold very close now that we're scaling and trying to put in, more structured All right, the world of franchising is around standard operating procedures, but it's how do you have some wiggle room in those standard operating procedures.
Yeah, it's a great point. I was actually thinking about that because I was thinking now into obviously you guys were a successful restaurant brand, right? But going from that to scaling through franchising, what did that transition look like? And are there any specific operational systems that you had to build before being able to support franchisees?
Yeah, I think our first year that I got in, so 2022, coming out of the pandemic was actually an interesting opportunity for a lot of restaurants, right? Because operations changed significantly. So you had to adjust how you were doing things so that you could survive, right? And so you had to start looking at, hey, how can we be more efficient? How can we, do more with less sales, all of those types of things, all while trying to keep your employees. We didn't lose a single employee through the pandemic, which we're very proud of. Um, so coming out of the pandemic actually provided some interesting opportunities and interesting insights on how to do things, an opportunity to reflect. I would say that, as I came on in 2022, we focused on how do we turn a mom and pop, very successful, a lot of soul, a lot of character into something that's scalable. The hardest part to scale really isn't the pizza, it's not the build out, it's the culture, it's the training, and, um, it's the feeling that you get, right? It's the ethos of Timber Pizza. And so what we did is we went through and we said, from every system, let's review it. And if we don't have a really strong why as to why we do that, then we're going to reevaluate it. We're going to come up with a why. Or we're going to do it a different way. So starting with our menu, felt really good about our menu. We do very simple menu, very operator friendly. We have 10 pizzas, 2 salads, 2 empanadas, a full bar, and some desserts. We rotate out those some of those pizzas, some of those salads and empanadas seasonally to make sure that we're using high quality fresh ingredients. But that's a very simple model. So we said, okay, great, we feel really good about our menu. Now let's look at our suppliers. How do we make sure that the suppliers that we have now are giving us competitive pricing and they can scale with us? So we started looking at who our suppliers should be, how we can consolidate those suppliers. Same with tech stack. We want our restaurant operators to spend as much time as possible marketing the restaurant, so growing top line sales and providing amazing experiences to our guests, living out our mission. That's our mission. And so we wanted to say, what is our technology right now? Is it providing meaningful, actionable insights to our operators? But is it simple? And can we make sure that they're spending as little time as possible? And so by systematically looking at Timber Pizza and the business model that we have and all the pieces, we were able to pretty effectively simplify things, make sure that we had more opportunity or the right pieces in place to scale effectively. And I actually think coming out of the pandemic helped that a little bit.
So when you think about restaurant franchising in general, just tends to be competitive, right? I mean, Monica and I are both in franchising, health and beauty, and then nail salon, kind of barbering. What differentiates Timber Pizza from other brands entering the franchise space? I mean, I know you talked about community. Are there other things that sort of give you that competitive moat?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think pizza's a crowded space. So I said America's favorite food is pizza. There's also, I believe, more pizza restaurants than any other category of restaurants in America, right? So like 10% of all restaurants in America are pizza. But I think as you really start to analyze that space a little bit more, you start to understand a few things. There's some things become apparent. It's that the vast majority of all of those restaurants, the 100,000 or however many there are the Pizza Huts, the Papa John's, the Little Caesars, the Marcos, right? So like the discount brand pizzas, the ones that everyone knows. That is not who we're competing with, right? They are going to beat us on price 10 out of 10, and that's fine with us, right? We are beating them on quality and we're beating them on experience. And so as you look at a very crowded category, it's understanding and saying, okay, can we provide a competitive product at a fair price for our guests? And what markets do we want to enter into? And I think as you look at kind of all the little pieces to say, how do we market? How do we engage with our guests? What is our price point? What is our quality? I think it's no one, hey, we do this better than everyone. It's, hey, we do a combination of all of these things, which is our vibes, which is, again, our menu, which is our pricing, which is the quality, all come together to provide, just a matrix or a product offering to our guests that you really can't find anywhere. And I really look at when people say, who are your biggest competitors? I think our biggest competitors are the places that, that people love, the community spots in the different neighborhoods that we're trying to enter into. And even competitor, I always feel a little weird when I say that word because I, I'm not necessarily competing with you. There's enough to go around. And so, how
Yeah.
can we join thriving markets and make them even better and contribute to them in a meaningful way?
What does your ideal sort of franchisee partner look like? That operator. What does that ideal person look like for you guys?
Yeah, I think we want people to be people, right? We want you to be people focused. And, it comes down to you can't train attitude. And so I believe, and the thing I love about franchising is that you get to work with really diverse sets of entrepreneurs, really diverse skill sets, really diverse backgrounds. You might be a tech executive who is starting their second or third career, and you have a really good understanding of how tech works, how to lead people, and how to do financials, but you have zero idea how to operate a restaurant, how to do inventory. Well, we can fill you in on that. Or you might be a long-time restaurant person and say, I don't really know how to manage the financials of a business. Well, we can fill the gaps on that. And so, the thing that's cool about franchising is that you have this diverse group who can come together and, especially at the size that we are right now, help us build this, right? We are far from perfect. We are an emerging brand with 9 locations. We're not 1,000 locations where we got every single thing mapped out. We want partners who want to work with us, who want to grow this together. And so, all that to say, I think the ideal partner for us is someone who's really people focused, someone who understands why Timber Pizza is a compelling offering to our guests. So isn't the person who says, "Oh, we should just discount, discount, discount," doesn't want to compete with the Domino's. They kind of understand our positioning in the market. You have to have the money. There are some qualifications that you just can't go around. But in general, it's, hey, are you a people person? Do you understand Timber's mission of serving amazing experiences? And do you understand kind of what we're trying to offer the market?
Yeah, great. Thanks. And I guess my next question is more specific to you. What leadership lessons have you learned most as a CEO going through this growth?
Yes, well, like any entrepreneur, right? There are high highs and low lows, right? I think that anyone who's been an entrepreneur knows that literally within minutes you could have I'm riding the biggest high of my life, and then I get a phone call and suddenly I'm doing dishes because my dishwasher called out, right? So there are these tremendous swings. So I think one big lesson that I learned is you have to stay kind of in the middle, right? When you have one of those highs, you capitalize on it. When you have one of those lows, you know that there's always a high around the corner, right? And so being able to kind of um, moderate your emotions and make sure that you're showing a very stable, steady, consistent leader to your team, regardless of the situation. I think that is critically important as an entrepreneur. And that's something that took me a long time to learn. I'm by no means perfect. But I certainly think that having a consistent, steady presence as a leader is really critical for your team, because if not, they'll panic on the lows, they'll slack off on the highs, and you just won't have that. This is a day by day, brick by brick business. And so you have to think long term. I would say, otherwise, the other big lesson for me that actually, when I joined Timber, I was 26. So I was a young guy. And that gave me the perspective that I'm always the least educated person in the room. And I think that is a perspective that I had then and I still have today. And I hope to have for a long time, because it just gives you that willingness to learn, right? It's very, that I constantly am surrounded by people who know more about this than I do, or that, and I try and surround myself with those people, or that have been doing it a long time or have a totally different perspective on things. And so being able to sit at the table and being opinionated, but not being opinionated in the way that you always have to be right, is super, super valuable. So that willingness to learn, that's something that I look for in franchisee partners. A lot of them are older men and women, successful in their own right. And what comes with success is thinking or knowing that you're right all the time. And so I look for people kind of regardless of where they are in life who come and say, I don't know and I want to learn, or I don't know that. Saying I don't know, I never have an issue with that. I say it all the time. As long as you're saying I don't know, but I'm willing to help figure it out, then we're in a really good place.
Luke, I think you saying that is probably something that is extremely important, because as long as you keep that mentality, this business is going to explode. Because I think when obviously I've worked with multiple CEOs in my past, and the ones that are humble and have that mentality of like, we can always be better, I don't know everything, and listen to their franchisees and listen to their customers, are always the ones that grow the most effectively and stay in business longer. So that was fantastic. Thank you for that.
I'm actually excited for Timber Company under, Timber Pizza Company under your leadership, right? I mean, to have this, Monica and I call it being humble, hungry, and smart, right? Being humble in the way you approach your franchisees in business, hungry to learn, and smart about the decisions you make, right? So yeah, man, I feel like you guys are going to do some great things. Yeah, I think it's awesome. Um, who should not be uh, an operator or a franchisee partner for your franchise brand?
Yeah, I think anyone, especially to start, who thinks that this is a completely passive investment, um, hey, I'm going to hire a general manager. I'm going to not pay them super well. I'm not going to take the interview process seriously, and then I'm going to vacation to Europe for 6 months a year and never check in. That's not the right partner for us, right? We've created an offering that we believe is very work life balance friendly, right? Our restaurants are open Monday to Thursday, 4 to 9, and then we're open 11:30 to 9 to 10ish on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? So we're open about 55 hours a week. You ask a lot of general managers, you ask full service general managers, God forbid you ask a Waffle House manager that's open 24/7. Those hours are unbelievably friendly, right? And so, it very much is possible. We have a lot of owners in our system who have great operating partners, whether they're equity partners or just really well treated general managers. That is certainly possible. But we want someone who's going to come in and say, hey, one, I'm willing to get to know the product. I'm willing to be in the restaurant, and I'm willing to work with my team to make sure that this really succeeds, right? And so it's that willingness. It's not, you don't have to be there every day. You don't have to be there all the time, but you do have to be willing to do what it takes to be successful. And that might be what it takes. And then I would say, the other piece of it is just, again, someone who doesn't want to collaborate, someone who doesn't want to be part of the system. We have this great group of entrepreneurs, this great group of owners who are all of our partners. And we don't want to work with people who just say, hey, I have this investment and we're never talking again. And good luck and sayonara, right? So we want people who are engaged. We want people who are collaborative. And at the end of the day, any entrepreneur, if you're not willing to do what it takes, your business is it's going to be a lot harder to be successful.
Perfect. Thank you. So,
Mm-hmm.
my final question is really just, as we mentioned before, the show's about systems, decisions, and infrastructure that power scalable growth. What system or habit, if you will, has had the biggest impact on your success leading Timber Pizza?
Yeah, from a habit perspective, I really think it's a combination of habits. So it's how you build your weeks. I think especially at the beginning, I had the bad habit of I would pick up every phone call, every product demo that a tech company reached out to me for, I would accept and I'd sit on that, even though I had potentially no intention of actually signing with them. And so I think it's very easy to have a lot of time creep or waste come into your life. And so I think what you really have to do as a CEO is, and this is something that I've started to do much better, it's, hey, wake up in the morning, what are your 1 to 3 goals, right, that you need to get done that day? Wake up at the beginning of a month and think, what are my monthly goals and what are my team's monthly goals? And really looking at it from not a, hey, I worked 100 hours this week, I checked the box, I did great. It's like, well, it's very easy to work 100 hours and get very little done. And I think so setting that mentality for your team of, I say this to my team a lot, I really don't care how many hours you work. I care about what you get done. I'm never going to be the one looking at the clock and looking at the mouse and making sure that you're green or whatever that is, tracking your touches. I'm going to make sure that you are getting meaningful things done. And so, really not trying to count hours, count minutes for myself or my team. It's really saying, what are we trying to get done today, this week, this month, this quarter, this year? And that's how we measure success.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? Because I think in probably franchising, when you start using terms like OKRs and making sure we're moving big rocks, like that's not usually heard. I mean, I come from Silicon Valley. That's where I was for over a decade before I came into franchising. And so when I approached
Mm-hmm.
my teams with that kind of mentality, which is, humble brag, it's not me, it's my team. We run the third highest producing franchise shop in the nation out of close to 70 locations so far, and there's a reason for that because they're very clear on what needs to be done. And you're right, if you feel like you didn't need to be managing their time or measuring minutes, you probably hired the wrong person or you didn't give the right OKR in place, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's my management background at Marriott was all about traction and the EOS or whatever the terms are. But we were all about that, and so I think that was very fortunate for how to kind of lead and manage teams. And then I think the only other thing that I like to say is I don't think I've invented anything new in terms of how I manage my team, how I run our business. We're so fortunate now that there's millions of online resources, there's millions of books, billions of words written about how to do things the right way. And I think your job as an entrepreneur is to look at all of the different systems, all the recommendations, all of the information that's out there, pick the pieces that work for your business and kind of put it all together to say, I'm going to steal this, I'm going to steal that, I'm going to steal, all these things and make sure that they're applicable to mine. So, I've never read a book where I said everything this totally applies to me, and I've rarely read a book that says nothing in here applies to me. It's about stealing the pieces that matter and putting them together in a meaningful way. And so that's really what I try and do.
You can only choose one pizza, one empanada, and one dessert. That's all you can choose. You're coming into Timber. You have 10 minutes. That you can one of each. What are your go-tos?
Yeah, so I'm gonna go our Green Monster pizza. So it's a very untraditional pizza. A lot of people might, give it a sideways glance, but it's been on our menu since day one. It's our Green Monster pizza. It's a pesto base. It's kale, zucchini, fresh mozzarella, and feta cheese, and it is unbelievably good. It's beautiful. It's green. But the reason I like it the most, I eat an absurd amount of pizza. I eat a lot of pizza. And this one is green and has kale on it. So I'm like, I basically had a salad
Yeah.
today. Like that's
Makes you feel good.
checks the box for healthiness. So I love the Green Monster pizza. Um, from a salad perspective, we actually have a new salad on our menu that we're going to keep around for a while. It's called the Little Caesar. So it's our take on your classic Caesar salad. It's got a miso dressing, so it has a little bit of that, that fishy, tangy taste, but really good. It's got pancetta breadcrumbs, so it's got that crunchiness in there. It's got our Peruvian sweet peppers that we use on one of our pizzas in there. So it's got that sweetness and brightness, and it's again a non-traditional Caesar salad. I know that sounds basic, but it's very, very, very good. Um, and then empanadas. This one is a brisket empanada. It's my favorite. We only do this for winter. And the cool thing, the reason I love this empanada so much is that we actually go out to different barbecue spots in the city and partner with them.
Oh,
And so
That's cool.
Charleston, for example, they're partnering with Lewis Barbecue down there. It's a super well-known restaurant brand in Charleston. So it's able to work with some of our neighbors. It gives them some promotion. It gives us some promotion, and it ensures that we're working with a really high quality product. So we've done that in all of our markets. We all have our individual partners that we work with. So I love that. It is going off the menu for our pork empanada soon, but our pork empanada is also fantastic. And then from a dessert perspective, I'm just a classic, ice cream cone guy. We make our cones in house every day, so those are fresh made. Really, really good cone. Which is we partner with local ice cream shops as well. So again, all of the ice cream and timber pizzas, you could walk down the street to the ice cream shop that serves it. But really, just quality ice cream, quality cone. There's nothing better than that. Although we are playing with some cool ideas for this year. root beer float, cookie pie, stuff like
Whoa.
that. So you'll see some cool ice cream stuff coming, or some cool dessert stuff coming.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Luke. We really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys for having me. It's great to be here. It's great to talk to people in the industry, and again, it's great talking pizza.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Luke. Before we end, is there anything else you'd like to share? Maybe how people can get a hold of you, where they can find you, or just anything in general?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Timber Pizza is franchising, right? And we are looking for franchise partners, as we've talked about. So, if anything I said today, if you check out our website or if you've been to Timber Pizza, if that resonates with you as, in any way, and you would potentially want to join the team, please reach out to me. Contact at timberpizza.com is the best way to get in touch. Timberpizza.com is our website. Timberpizzafranchise.com is our franchise website. So, check us out. And beyond that, I do try and avoid taking too many meetings. I said that earlier, but I love talking to entrepreneurs. And so whether it's about timber, whether it's about a different business, whether it's about a restaurant or other, I'm more than happy to lend some time to an aspiring entrepreneur and help them in their journey. I've gotten so much help along the way. I get help every day. And so it's the least I could do is give a little back. So please reach out if you're interested in connecting.